Hello, welcome to Do-It-Yourself with Wayne. Today we're talking about lamps. We're going to talk about repairing lamps. We're going to talk about modifying lamps so they better suit your needs. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of things that you can do to reconfigure how the top of your lamp is with your lampshade. We're going to talk about replacing your cord. We're going to talk about how to replace just the end of the cord if you need to do that. I got an old drop cord here that we'll use as an example. I got tools here that you may or may not need. We'll go over those. We got new plugs for the ends of the cords. We've got a couple different styles. We'll be talking about those. We got an inline switch if you want a power switch on your cord instead of up on your lamp. We got different types of sockets. We're going to go over the differences and why you may want one other as opposed to the other and how to change those out. And we got another drop cord over here that will be showing you how you can use that in the future and save money. And we're also going to talk about some of these parts, how you can get them without spending so much money. Because our channel, Do It Yourself with Wayne, is all about helping you save money by doing things yourself. But we also talk sometimes about where you can purchase things and save money. So let's move on with this project. Because this video has a lot of different repairs and modifications for a lamp, down in the description we're going to put a list of the different sections of this video and how far forward you would need to zoom forward to get to each section if you have a particular section that's more interest to you. Now I'm going to go over some of the basic tools that you'll need to work on a lamp. Basically I got two screwdrivers here. I got a flat bladed and I got a Phillips. I like long shank screwdrivers, but it doesn't matter. I got wire cutters. I got a pair of pliers. I got my pocket knife. I probably use that as much as anything. And these are wire strippers. Of these tools, this is the thing you least need. If you've got one, that's cool. If you don't go buy one. Most of the time for stripping wire, I use my pocket knife. But use what works for you. I think in the video I'll end up using the wire cutters for stripping the wire. That works as well. Just be careful with it. But if you've got these basic tools, you can do just about anything you need to a lamp. Now we're going to start with how to replace the plug on the end of your power cord for your lamp. These sometimes they get damaged, the prongs get bent, whatever. But if you want to replace the plug, it's really relatively easy. But when I'm going to start out, I'm going to show you these two wires, the difference in the width and the size of the insulation. I'll put a close-up picture up so you can see this a little bit better. But on some of the plugs that you can buy, like this one, the wider wire won't fit in here. You can't use the wider wire with this plug, but you can with this plug. And I'll put a picture up down at the bottom probably of a photo from our local hardware store showing a lot of different styles of plugs that you can get, because there's a lot of different colors, there's different styles and things. But make sure that you get one that'll work with the wire that you've got. And it's generally not a big deal, but sometimes, like with this one, if you got the heavier wire, it just won't fit. So anyway, I'm going to put this one down. I'm going to work with this one. This is our old drop cord that we're going to throw away when we're through. But to replace your cord, the first thing you do is just cut the end off of it. Just cut that off and just throw it away, because that's the problem. Now if you got a plug like this, these work really easy. You pull the inside out. You got a little hole here that you push your drop cord in, and we particularly chose a white plug and a brown cord just so it's easier for you to see what we're doing because of the color combination. But normally you'd get a plug that matches your cord. But after you push that through there, on this thing you just spread these prongs out as wide as you can, and then there's a hole here that you push your wire into, and you push it in until it seats in the very bottom. Then you push these together like that, and then you push it back in, pull this back in, push that in, and they suggested in the instructions you get a screwdriver like so, and then you just push it in there like that, and now you got a new plug on the end of your cord. And for a lamp, that is perfectly fine. If you got a heavy duty drop cord, you don't want something like this because it's not intended for that much power. But for a lamp, these would work great, and that would fix it. Like I said, we used two color combinations so that you could see it a little bit better. Now if you've got another wire or another connector like this one, you open it up and there's contacts inside, and we'll show you a close-up of this, but there's a lot of different styles on the market, but a lot of the plugs will have 2 screws, and you have to strip your wire back. You can use different ways of doing this. I'm just going to split it in the middle with my wire cutters. You have to strip the insulation back a little bit. You can use wire strippers like this. Some people use wire cutters. I tend to use my pocket knife. I'm going to see if I can do this and just pinch the insulation, but not the wire itself. And I don't do this too often. I generally use my pocket knife. Obviously, I ain't real good at this. All right, and you just twist your wire real good. Make sure you don't have any strands sticking out, 'cause that's not a good thing. All right, and with those like that, you just put the wire under the screws, tighten the screws down. Close this back. It's got a screw that will hold it together. And there's different styles of plugs like this, but most of them do have the 2 screws inside that you would have to strip your wires and put them around. It's a little more trouble than the first style I showed you, but this style will work on the heavier cords where the other style won't. So anyway, that's how you can replace the plug on the end of your lamp cord if you need to. And so now let's move on to replacing the cord itself. Next, we're going to be talking about the different lamp sockets that you can get. And the lamp socket is the part that your light bulb screws into. And these are all different styles that are interchangeable. Most of the ones with a little knob like this are 3-way, which is the ones where you have low, medium, and high intensity for your light bulb. And this one obviously has a metal casing. This is also 3-way with a plastic case. There's really no difference in the function of it. It's still a socket where your light bulb plug screws into. It's just a plastic case instead of a metal case. This is a 1-way. It's just off and on. So all it does is off and on. And this one is plastic, but you can get those in the brass colored metal, just like this. Now this one, you don't see as many of these, but it has a pull chain. It's just 1-way. It's just off and on. But it's a pull chain to turn it off and on. And some people prefer that. If you got a lampshade that drops down low, the chain can be longer to make it easier to reach, so you don't have to reach up in there to get to the switch. So in some cases, this is more convenient for people. But all of these different styles are interchangeable if you have one of these styles to start with. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. How you can replace one of these if it goes bad, or how you can swap one out if you want a different style. Now we're going to talk about replacing your lamp cord. And there's a lot of reasons that you may want to replace your lamp cord. This cord here particularly has some little nicks in it. I'll put a close-up picture of that so you can see a little bit better. But if your lamp cord has nicks in it, bad spots, don't try to fix it. Just replace the cord. It's not worth the risk. There's things you can do to repair that, but it's just not worth the risk. Replace the cord. Another thing is maybe your lamp cord needs to be a little bit longer for where you want to put it, but you don't want to use a drop cord. You can replace your lamp cord with one that's longer. Maybe you want one that's a different color, because there's numerous different colors of cords that you can get for your lamps. So there are various reasons that you may want to change it. So that's what we're going to talk about now, is how to change your lamp cord. And first thing we're going to go over is how to find and how to get a new lamp cord. Now I'm going to put a picture up. Local hardware store where we looked, and the first picture over here is a lamp cord that's designed to be a replacement lamp cord. It's almost $11. Over on this side I got another picture of a drop cord. There's the exact same thing, except it's got this end on it. If you take your wire cutters and cut that end off, now you've got what's on this side, but you paid for what's on that side. You see the price difference? You know, one thing we talk about a lot on our channel here at DIY with Wayne is how to save money. If you need a new lamp cord, don't go to the lamp department and buy this $11 cord when you can get one for $4. If you want a 6-foot one, you can get it for $2. Okay? All you got to do is cut this end off and you got an $11 cord. Another thing you can do, you can go to a thrift store, buy you an old lamp that's got a nice cord on it. You may get that cheaper. That's another reason we'll talk about a little bit later. But you know, going to a thrift store and buying an old lamp that's in really good shape is another way to get parts that you may need for some of the other repairs and upgrades we're going to be talking about shortly. But once you get your cord, and like I said, if you buy a drop cord, just cut this end here off and you got an extension cord. And you can get these in various lengths, various colors, so whatever you need. At this point, we're going to talk about how you can replace your lamp socket, whether it be bad or if you just want a different style, and how you can replace your lamp cord. And we're going to put this part together because they're so intermingled. Now to start with, I'm going to show you, this lamp originally came with this one-way socket, and we wanted to make it a three-way lamp. So we took this out, we put the three-way in, and it works now just like we wanted it to. And we're going to show you how we did this, and we're going to talk about a couple of the problems that we ran into along the way and how we fixed them. But for starters, if you got one of these plastic lamp sockets and you just want to replace the wire, you can unscrew the top like that, and make sure this is unplugged before you do this. You can pull the top out, and there's your wire. There's 2 screws, and you can replace your wire. Just pull the old one out of your lamp, run the new one in, and when you go to hook up your lamp, your new wire, and most of them, you may come across one that's not polarized, but most will be. And the polarization, basically on your 2 prongs, one's a little bit wider than the other one. The wider one is your common, and the narrow one is the hot wire. Now, when you look at your plug, the side that is the wider prong, usually the wire itself has ridges on the edge. So when you don't have to trace it all the way to the other end, you just look at the other end, and the side that has those little ridges goes to that prong, the common. The hot side generally is smooth. Now that may not always be the case, but most of the time it is. When you hook up your socket, make sure the common side goes to the silver screw. And when you look at your socket, one screw will be silver, one will be brass looking. Make sure the hot wire goes to the brass and the common wire goes to the silver. After you hook them up, this will be in your lamp. You just let it slide back down there into place. You can screw your top back on. If I can get this thing straight, we'll screw it on there. And that's all it takes to replace the wire, the lamp cord, if you got this type of socket. If you want to replace your socket, you got to take it out of the lamp. Now we'll get to that in a minute. Now if you've got the metal socket like this, it comes apart differently. You can notice the base is where it comes apart. And sometimes these are real difficult to pull apart, but they will come apart. You may have to work at it a bit, but they'll come apart like that. Now if this has a wire, if it had a wire on it, I'd be pulling the wire up as I pull the top out, and it comes apart just like the other one does. The inside will push out, and you got your 2 screws where your wires hook onto them. Just like the other socket, hot wire goes to brass, common wire goes to the silver screw. You hook them up, you push it back together, you push this back together. Make sure you push it down good till it snaps in place. Now this don't line up, there we go. And that's all there is to it. You can replace your socket or the lamp cord or both by doing that. Now to get back to this lamp and problems that we ran into with this socket, we couldn't take the socket out and replace the socket without taking the nut loose from under these here. Inside your lamp somewhere, sometimes down at the bottom, sometimes up in the neck, there's a nut on this threaded rod that tightens everything down. Now in our case, we wanted to replace the socket and we couldn't get up there to that nut. We did manage to loosen it up, but we couldn't get back in there to tighten it up when we were finished. So what we did, and I'm going to use this socket here as an example. We got a shorter threaded rod, and you can get any of these parts at your hardware store. And again, if you go to your thrift store and buy an old lamp that's in good shape, you could get parts from there. Might save you some money. But either way, get a short threaded rod. Make sure you got a nut. If you buy a lamp at a thrift store, you likely have all these parts and don't have to piecemeal it together. But you screw it in to your lamp base, your socket, until you find out how much gap you need in here between the bottom of the socket and the top of the nut for it to be tight in your lamp. And you know, the socket has some leeway with that, so it's not really critical. But once you figure out where the nut needs to be for things to be tight, you take it back out. Now this is what we did to this lamp that's in front of me. Now what we did here, we run a wire up through here, up through the bottom of the lamp and out the top of the lamp, with this hanging out the bottom. Then we took some epoxy, we put it on the top of the nut, we put a little bit on the bottom just to glue the nut to the threaded rod because we don't want it coming loose. Then we pulled our wire up, which pulled that up through the lamp and through the hole, and we held it there until that epoxy set up. Now what that did for us is this part, the threaded rod and the nut, were epoxied and were glued in place, so we don't have to turn the nut to tighten it. When we put the socket on the top, we just threaded it on and turned it until it got tight. And that would work if you had the plastic socket or the metal one. You could fix it that way, but that's one of the problems we ran into that we had to figure out how to fix, and that's what we did to fix it, and it has worked very well. As you can see, this is on here real sturdy, doesn't move around, and we fixed our lamp, put a three-way switch in it. But that's how you can replace your three-way or your one-way switch with a three-way or back. You can put any of these different styles of sockets on this lamp now, and if you have one that's defective, you can replace the insert that's inside the socket. You can get those at your hardware store as well. And I showed you how to get your lamp cords at a discount. Don't forget that part. And so that's it for this section. Next we're going to talk about some features to upgrade your lamp a little bit more. Now if you want to install a power switch on the power cord of your lamp, you can get little switches like this. There's different styles. This particular one is designed for the cords that are smaller, that, like I talked about in the power cords earlier, some of them are smaller in size. But the way you do this one, and of course I just got a piece of wire here, you slit your wire apart just a little bit right there. I did that with a pocket knife, just being careful not to cut into where the wire's at, just cut in the middle of the insulation. And then what the instruction says is you cut a little piece out of the middle. The instructions will tell you how much to cut out. There's a screw through here. You take your screw out and you put this in here. And basically like that, and I'll put a close-up picture of this here in a minute. You have the wire that is not cut near the bottom. The one that's cut is actually in the middle. Then you put your piece back over it. Let's see, it goes this way. And when you press it together, it makes connection through the insulation to the conductor inside the wire. Then you put your screw back in here, there, and put the little nut in there, tighten it down. And when that's all tightened together, you're finished. And what that does is it just makes contact where those wires were cut. And it just puts an inline switch on your power cord. If you have a lamp socket that has a switch in it, just leave it in the on position and you can turn your lamp off and on with this right here. Now there are other styles that are a little bit larger for the larger size wire, which is more common these days. And they install somewhat similarly, but you would have to follow the directions on those. But the point is, you can put a switch like this on the power cord if that's more convenient for turning your lamp off and on. Now the last thing we're going to talk about is lampshade options. I'm not going to talk about what lampshade you should buy for your lamp, but there are different styles of lampshades as far as how they attach to your lamp. Now this lampshade has the circle here, if you can see that, and that will fit right over this part of the socket. It doesn't matter if you got the metal one or the plastic one, it'll fit right over that. It'll fit on there and sit on there just fine, and that'll work just like that. Now if you want a different style of shade, there are some where you can get a bulb, and once your bulb is in here, there's a small lightweight one that just has wire that goes over, it fits on your bulb with a little screw above that you can put a lampshade on. Those are mostly for smaller lampshades, but they work just fine for small lampshades. But if you want a larger lampshade, and you know, this lamp certainly you wouldn't want a big lampshade, but if you wanted if you had a larger lamp, you can buy these things. Now here again, you can get these at your hardware store where they sell lamp parts. Or you can go to your thrift store and buy a lamp that's got these parts and probably save money. But either way, these come in different heights for different heights of shades that you would want. And basically what you do is you take your socket off, you take the wires loose from your socket, then you run the wires up through here and then put them back in your socket and reattach your socket to the lamp. And then you would have a lampshade like this for the larger lampshades that fit up here. So those are just different options for, you know, modifying your lamps to suit your needs. And that's about it for our lamp repair upgrade video. And if you enjoyed this video, if you find it helpful, please click like and share it with your friends. And you know, if you're interested in saving money and doing things yourself, subscribe to our channel and we'll help you save money. So thank you for visiting Do It Yourself with Wayne, and we hope you have a great day.